Hi everyone, my name is Fan. I'm the technical marketing engineer for Cisco CSR1000V router. In today's demo, I will give you around 30 minutes to set up side-to-side VPN tunnels between two CSR. One is in AWS cloud, another one is in the Azure cloud. CSR is a cloud service router that can run on any hypervisors and public cloud like AWS and Azure. In the before two demos, I have given you how to spin up a CSR in AWS or in Azure. So today, we are going to do a more advanced demo that you will build a side-to-side Ipsec tunnels between the two public clouds. There are four steps. First, you need to launch the CSR in AWS and Azure and check the configurations. Second, you need to launch two virtual machines that sits behind the routers. The third is you have to configure the network and the IPsec settings on the routers. The last part is the verification of the tunnel establishment. So let's go into the topology in detail. Assuming you already have a VPC created in the AWS cloud and you have two subnets. One is public subnet that is connecting direct to the internet gateway, and the other is the private subnet that is your virtual machine area. You can create a virtual machine in the private subnet, and you need to change the default gateway in the private subnet to CSR. That's the left-hand side. If we look at the Azure side, we also have the same configuration. You have a virtual network configuration, and you have two subnets. One is public, one is private. So from the CSR in the Azure to the CSR in the AWS, it will establish an IPsec tunnel. And you also make sure to change the default gateway on the private subnet to CSR. So which means if the traffic is going from the virtual machine to the CSR and the data will be encrypted in the IPsec tunnel. After the data has been transferred to the other side CSR, it needs to decrypt the data and send the pure data to the virtual machine in the private subnet. So that's how it works. And let's check the AWS and the Azure console. If you're looking at the virtual private cloud in the AWS, you can see, oh, we already have a CSR VPC created, and the subnet is 1016/16. And after that, we have two subnets. You can see there are two subnets. One is private subnet, and the other is public subnet created already. So let's create the virtual machine for the AWS. If we click instance, you can see there is already the CSR router that is running on AWS. Okay, let's launch an instance. Okay, let's click the AWS AMI. Let's use the smallest one. This is just an example. Okay, we need to put it in the private subnet, and okay, and we can enable the let's do the elastic IP later. That's the network interface. Okay, let's select an existing security group, the LAN facing, so it basically allows all the traffic coming. Okay, let's launch it. This is the one I will use to connect to the router, so let's choose this one. Okay, basically it will launch an instance and it will be started very shortly. So let's go to the Azure side. As you can see, we have virtual networks VNet 01 that's created, and let's create the virtual machine. You can also see we have the CSR-Azure already running. Let's add a new one for the virtual machine. Let's install CentOS. Okay, let's choose this one and create. Let's name the name. Username Cisco, password capital C, ASC 123. This is the users group we already created. And let's choose A1 so it will have a smaller disk. For the other part, we can just leave it as default, but we need to, for the virtual network, let's use the virtualnet 01 and subnet. Because we don't need for the public subnet, we only need for the private subnet. So let's click the private subnet. See, it will be deployed into the 26.1/24 subnet. For the public IP address, basically we don't need that because we can access to the virtual machine from the CSR directly. For the security group, okay, we can just use as default. We can disable this part and let's click OK. It will validate the configurations I've already set. Okay. Okay, you can see it's deploying now. Let's click the virtual machine. Here we can see the CSR Azure. This is running. Under the virtual machine, let's click OK. Oh, it's still deploying. So maybe we can just wait for a few seconds. Let's go back to the AWS. Okay. Let's create the elect IP. Okay, this IP address let's associate to the instance I just created. That's the Linux virtual machine. And then let's name it. Okay. Okay. Now we have a elect IP. But this time, I don't think you can just reach it directly. Let's try. You can see it cannot be reachable. So we need to check the route tables. Let's click the VPC. Because this virtual machine, if you remember correctly, this virtual machine is put into the private subnet. So let's check the route tables. We have two subnets. We also have two route tables. So let's check the private route table. If we click this one, you can see it just have a route that contains the subnet in the route tables. We need to add a default one, and it need to be redirected to the internet gateway. So that's why you cannot reach from the outside. So destination HW and C. Then if you go back to the console, let's ping. Okay, you can ping that IP address. Let's use the same one to connect. EC2-user. Okay. So now you are connected to the virtual machine. And next, I will create a local user. That's different from the EC2 user. So which means you can access to the virtual machine from the CSR, because on the CSR you don't have the SSH key, so you need a local user. Let's create that. Basically, it will create a username Cisco and the password is Cisco123, and it will start the SSH automatically. Okay, let's try from the CSR. You can see the IP address is 10.16.1.20. Let's connect to the CSR. This is the CSR public IP address. Okay, let's pin this IP address first. Okay, SSH Cisco. Cisco123. Okay, now we are connected. As I have explained before, these default routes you need to redirect to the CSR. So let's change the default routes from the HW to the CSR. Let's go back to the EC2. And in the running instance, you need to redirect the routes to the specific interface. So let's check the CSR. And you can see there should be two interfaces, right? The Ethernet 0, that's connect to the public sometimes. So that's not that one. We need to change it to the Ethernet 1. This is the interface ID. Let's copy that. And go back to the VPC to find the route tables. In the private route table, as I have modified before, we change it to the HW. Now we need to change it to the CSR interface. Okay, this one. Save. So now after that, you cannot connect to the virtual machine from the outside world. So here you can see it doesn't have any action. Let's reconnect. And now you don't need this Alex IP as well. You can see you cannot reach to this IP address now. Okay, it's not reachable. Let's disassociate, and then we can release this IP address. Release. Okay, now we are set in the AWS. All configuration has been done. So let's come to the Azure. Let's check the virtual machine we just created. This is the one. Okay, it's running. Because we didn't specify any public IP address for that, so we can just access to it from the CSR. Let's see it IP address. Okay. This slide is used for the IP address tracking. So here we can see it changed to 7. And here the private IP address, we can see it changed to 20. And this is the public IP address for the CSR in the Azure. So okay, let's connect to that one. Capital C, CO123. Okay, we are connected to the CSR in the Azure, and let's try to pin this address in this virtual machine. Okay, and SSH Cisco IP address, capital C, 123. Now we are connected to the VM in the Azure. So we can just do a quick test to pin the virtual machine in the AWS from the Azure. Try to see if it's connected. I think you already know it's not reachable because we didn't even set up the tunnel yet. Okay, yeah, we cannot pin that address. 100% loss. Okay, I think now we have finished the configurations in the virtual machine in the private cloud. Let's go to the Ipsec tunnel configuration. First, we configure the CSR AWS, and let's just copy these configurations. Basically, it will create a Ipsec profile. So you can see the remote and local key Cisco123, and you can see the domain is cisco.com, and it will match the cisco.com, which means in the other side is CSR to cisco.com. So it will match the prefix and it will work. Let's just copy this one and paste in the CSR in the AWS. And then we can configure tunnel. So let's configure tunnel. We can just configure here. Interface tunnel 0 IP address. This is the source. This is the IP address of the tunnel. So let's use 172.16.1. And for the source, we use the gigabyte 1. So let's show IP address. So you can see this IP address is in for the public subnet. Basically, it will you specify this interface directly when it's going out for a tunnel establishment. When it is going out in the AWS, the IP address will be net to the elastic IP. Okay. And for the destination, we need to specify as a public IP address. That's the elastic IP on the Azure side. So let's check this IP address. And we choose the tunnel protection Ipsec profile. We need to specify the profile we just created. We are using the default one. Okay. We have to configure that peer detection. Okay. Now we can check. This is the one we just created. You can see it using the ESPAS to encrypt and decrypt the data and many other configurations here. Now, because we are setting up the tunnel, we need to redistribute the subnet. So we need to configure the routing protocol. We're using EIGRP here. Network the IP address. This is the direct connect IP address that's in the tunnel. And another one is the private. If you check this subnet, okay, this is on the AWS side, and we also need to configure on the Azure side. we need to copy same one profile here, and you can see this time it was called the CSR2, and we have to configure the kernel, IP address, kernel source, gigabyte 1, kernel destination. That's the public IP address on the AWS side, so it's this one. Kernel protection, Ipsec profile, default. We just create that. And the peer detection. Oh, sorry. And the last step is the routing protocol. So use IP address. For the private subnet in the Azure, it's 26. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. Now all the configuration is done. So let's show IPEI grp neighbor. Okay, you can see the neighbor is up. And let's check the crypto session. Okay, you can see it's using the kernel 0, and the profile here is default. The session status is up and active, and it is using the 4500 port to the ESP encryption. And also you can see the remote side, and this is the local side IP address. This is remote Ipsec IP. Okay, it's up. And we also can show the IP route. The D means the EIGRP. So you can see this is the IP address on the AWS side, but we can see it from the Azure side. Now let's ping from the virtual machine. Let's access to this router first. SSH EC Cisco 1, 2, 3, and this is the private IP address. We need to access to this IP address. Cisco. Okay, you remember that we ping the AWS virtual machine from Azure first time. It doesn't work. Let's ping this. Okay, you can see now it's working. And if you go to the routers, you show crypto session detail. You can see the packet here, encrypted, decrypted, encrypted. It's increasing. Okay. Because we are pinging from the server side, so the data has been encrypted and decrypted because it's a bidirectional ping, right? And it will get encrypted and decrypted as well. Okay. So that's how it works. And that's pretty much of the demo I want to show today. But in the last, I just want to make sure that you have opened the SSH, you have opened the NAT, you have opened the Ipsec port. You have to make sure that. Let's go back to the Azure. In the route table, let's click the route table, and it will have a public subnet CSR route table. you can see the outgoing subnet is redirected to the routers. If you click the private subnet, you can see the default route has been redirected to the routers as well. That's this part I want to mention. And this part I already showed to you, right? And if you click the network security groups, you can see this is the CSR Azure SSH security group. It created automatically. I have explained this in the last two sessions. If you click the inbound security rules, you can see it already allows the SSH, and this for the NAT, this is for the Ipsec ESP, okay, the 4500, which you can see it's used here. On the AWS side, if you click the security groups, because it's on the public subnet, so it's one facing security groups. Okay, it's also have the SSH, NAT, and the ESP ports opening. Okay. Okay, I think that's what I want to show you, how to set up the Ipsec tunnels between CSR in AWS and CSR in Azure. Thanks for watching.